There's no way around it. Unless you were to upload your consciousness into a very crude, primitive 90s server farm and turn into a living cyber god.
Which is definitely what Jeff Bezos and all those rich assholes are planning.
That is what they're all planning. And that brings us, Flickers. Welcome back, by the way. Listen to us getting chatty, spilling our beans. Welcome back, Flickers, to Far Out Flicks. This is Andrew.
I'm Braden, and today we're flicking.
We're flicking, and I was just kind of alluding. I was dropping hints to you, the listener, about what we're going to be talking about today, because you didn't read the episode when you clicked on it before hitting play.
Or they read the title and haven't watched the film, which is also possible.
You're right. Actually, the title of the film makes zero fucking sense to like what I just said in any way, shape, or form.
And there's a reason behind that, which we will get to.
We will. We shall.
It's almost totally unrelated to the actual plot of the film.
We're doing The Lawnmower Man. And as always, if you haven't seen it, you should probably watch it first, because we're going to spoil the shit out of it. But if you just want to have it spoiled and you don't want to watch it, which would be a big mistake, this movie is awesome. You could just keep listening. But otherwise, hit pause and come back.
Sometimes I like learning about something, and then it inspires me to go seek it out. So that's... Yeah. But yes, it's funny because recently I was talking about fucking how I will be first in line to upload my consciousness to the mainframe.
Yeah, the San Junipero.
And, I don't want to, I'm pretty sure all those monkeys that got the Neuralink just died within days, but once humans are doing it, I'll be there in line so that I can play a primitive Pong game with my mind.
Braden, bro, the Neuralink is safe and effective. You need to trust the experts.
Trust the thought police. They're there for your own well-being.
They're there. They are there to make decisions for you.
I mean, it will be pretty sweet when it just sends electrical signals directly to the pleasure zone of your brain, and you're just...
So you can just turn into an actual Coomer fucking drone slave.
I will be that monkey that just presses the button that causes me to have orgasms until I die.
See, the thing is like they're not gonna stop there. You're gonna have to start earning those orgasms, and you're gonna be so hooked on it. It's gonna be the only way you can shoot anymore is to do their little games, do their dance form, hit the button you're supposed to hit.
That is the main problem. They're definitely gonna make it all based around microtransactions.
Yeah. You have to fucking pay your fucking subscription fee to feel the warmth of love from your family this holiday season. Fuck that. Fuck that noise.
You'll have to earn gems to fucking continue. I'm here for it, though.
I mean, historically, I've always wanted to upload my consciousness into the digital cyber realm whenever it becomes available. But as time goes on, as we see how our overlords really behave, I'm less and less convinced to be all that chill.
Oh, it's not going to be chill at all. I have no doubt.
What if we what if you upload in and it's just a digital hellscape with I have no mouth but I must scream kind
You're
of
just
AI
stuck,
god.
You're just a fucking weird Minecraft character and you just live forever. You can't kill yourself.
Yeah. It's going to literally render you into this blob with billions of nerve endings that it just fucking pokes with a taser at different angles all the time, and you just have to sit there and take it. Which is more or less the I have no mouth but I must scream kind of thing. Anyways, sweet short story by, oh my god, Ellis something. I'm forgetting his name. I don't know. Google it.
It's okay.
Listeners, you'll figure it out. I have no mouth, but I must scream. Also a 90s video game.
Pretty fun.
PC
pretty
video
fun.
game.
Click and point adventure, I believe.
Click and point adventure. Yes.
Those were fun. Yeah, man. So, I mean, the Lawnmower Man, it's interesting because we live in this fucking time We're on the cusp of going into the metaverse and all this bullshit. And this movie just fucking nailed it 30 years ago.
They did. What they didn't nail was how quickly and how sweet VR sets would be available to us.
I have not tried one. I still have not really even... I mean, I tried it once at like a place where I fought zombies, but I'm not sure what the at-home VR experience is like. I haven't had my dick sucked by an octopus yet.
Not yet. Not someday. Someday. I was actually talking with a friend about this. So I like cars. That'll be my little confession to you listeners. I like cars. Fast cars.
Cars are fun. Oh, I see what you're getting at. You want to drive cars in the VR.
Yeah, I think like a sweet driving game like Forza 5, which I haven't played yet because I don't have a new console, and I'm like holding off until I do get, a PS5.
Until eventually. This podcasting thing starts paying off.
Yeah, still I start making bank and can afford it. But get the VR headset for that, and it's like...
That sounds amazing.
Other than having some like haptic, like, actuators moving your seat around to simulate like hidden bumps in the road or whatever.
G-force and all that.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty damn good, I would imagine. I think I would be excited, especially if you can like look around in the cab of the car. Like that
seems like one of the easier VR experiences to simulate, or one of the easier experiences to simulate in VR.
To do it well is because I mean we've already done very high end driving and flying simulators, but like I mean Forza 5 is available to anyone with a PS5, and I mean I've played Forza 4. Forza 4 was clean and fun as shit. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that'd be like a pretty cool application. I'm on board for that.
My fear is that the VR is just going to be like a way to make you do more meetings from home. That's Mark Zuckerberg's vision. I've listened to an interview. He just wants us to have to be at the office all the time.
That is like
in the meta.
The catch-22 to working at home is that you're like, your home is your work is your home.
Yeah, fuck that.
It's kind of nice leaving shit in the office behind you, away.
That's how Zoom masturbation accidents happen. That's how they happen.
But talking about the Jeffrey Toobin dude.
He's one of like thousands.
Dude,
he might have been the first guy. I'm glad that he has a name, Jeffrey Toobin. If you're out there, Jeffrey, hats off to you, sir.
Former writer for, I think, the New York Times.
Oh, that guy was actually like a real name.
Oh, he was a real journalist.
He was. I'm sure he's long gone.
He
now.
Pissed it all down the drain because he couldn't close his goddamn laptop before whipping it out.
Jeffrey Toobin, if you're out there.
Jeffrey Toobin, dude.
Feel for you, bro.
Pulled a Toobin.
He pulled. He was tubing on the clock.
Tubing on the clock, man.
So, you want to get into this the Lawnmower Man movie?
I do. I'm very excited about this one. I was telling Braden before we started recording in the exclusive VIP pre-show, which we didn't record at all, but it is a thing. We meet up. Only allowed 2 people in. But this movie has been in my head since the inception of the podcast. I've always thought that this one was one we needed to hit. I wanted to get a little air under our wings before we took it on.
Exactly.
But here we are.
Don't want to screw this one up.
So much fun. It's so much fun. I mean, it's not like The Shining or The Thing or any of these other highly esteemed and decorated films necessarily, but it's good and it's fun and it's definitely fucking far out. So yeah, I'm just psyched to be here for this one.
I have a confession. I had not seen this movie. I've watched it. This was an Andrew recommendation. He chose it and I loved it. I'm here for it.
Dude,
I can't believe I hadn't seen this.
The Andrew picks are the fun ones.
This seems like it should have been like, one of my primary childhood memories, along with all the other garbage movies I watched on TV.
You lived a difficult childhood when you didn't get to see this.
I see that. I was too busy watching UPN.
In fairness, this was not a blockbuster smash hit. But it was one of the earlier films to employ, like, entire CGI sequences, which is fun and exciting and totally 90s. This movie came out in 1992. To give you a little bit of frame of reference, how would you describe 1992 CGI effects?
I mean, I would describe 1992 in general as, there were colorful shapes everywhere.
Large polygons,
a lot of the CGI at that point, well, we hadn't even really gotten into like 3D video games yet. A lot of the CGI, early CGI, was like weird metallic people who are like liquid metal, which we get some of that in this movie, Terminator 2 style. Yeah, I mean, they weren't good, but they were trying.
They were groundbreaking for the time and a lot of fun.
They were fun.
This film was distributed by New Line Cinema, so yeah, I wonder if the Goblin King himself, Harvey Weinstein, had anything to do with it.
Wasn't he Miramax though, or is that?
I thought he was New Line.
No, he's Miramax, bro.
Is he?
I believe so.
I'm sorry.
We'll check that later.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sully New Line's good name.
I'm sure they have their own Weinstein somewhere in that company.
Their own Goblin Kings?
Of course. They all do. They all do. It's Hollywood. Actually, on the note of the special effects, so it took 7 people 8 months to complete the 8 minutes of computer-generated effects. 8 minutes.
Yep.
8 months.
Sounds about right.
Took $500,000. And the effects were done by this company called Angel Studios, which would later go on to become Rockstar San Diego, the video game company.
Oh, no shit.
And they made the Red Dead Redemption games, the Midnight Club Racing, and even helped with Grand Theft Auto 5, which is one of the biggest selling video games of all time. So that's kind of
pretty
neat.
Sweet.
So let's go ahead and say this is Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. And there's kind of an interesting story behind that, because originally Stephen King wrote the short story called The Lawnmower Man in 1975. And it's totally unrelated to this film, and they kind of bought the rights to that short story, but then used the script for a movie called Cyber God, which is totally unrelated. They just wanted it to have Stephen King's name in the title.
That's hilarious, and Cyber God makes way more sense.
It makes way more sense.
But it is a bad title.
It's almost like they added the lawnmower bits after the fact so they could use Stephen King's name in it.
Didn't Stephen King sue over this?
He did, and he sued and was able to get $2.5 million and got his name removed. But then when they released it on home video, they just kept his name in there.
That's hilarious.
But the original short story is okay. So there are some elements that were borrowed and put in the film. But the original story, have you read it?
I have not. I know that you said you were going to try to today, so tell us.
I'll give you a little synopsis.
Let's hear it. Treat my ears.
The original short story, again written in 1975, a guy named Harold hires a landscaper to mow his yard. Well, later he hears the lawnmower going and goes to the window to see what's going on. The lawnmower is pushing itself, and the lawnmower man is on all fours, buck naked, crawling behind the lawnmower, eating the grass, and that's how he mows it. And at this point, he finds out that this guy's actually a satyr. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but it's a fawn.
It's satyr.
Part man, part goat, like Danny DeVito in the Hercules cartoon.
Yeah, from Greek mythology.
But traditionally, they have giant, massive, elongated, erect penises, which were taken out of the Disney cartoon. That wasn't part of it.
It was just put somewhere else cleverly, like in a tower spire or fucking...
Right. It's in a freeze frame that you just have to catch at the right moment.
It's a pillar in Hades or something. Who knows?
So the owner of the home faints, wakes back up. The lawnmower man informs him that this is his new method of cutting the grass and that customers who don't appreciate it will get sacrificed. So Harold tries to call the police, and the lawnmower man shows up as he's trying to do this, informs him that his boss is actually Pan, the Greek god, and then he chases him around the living room with the lawnmower and brutally slaughters him. So that's the short story, which there is a lawnmower that chases a man around a living room and slaughters him.
There is, and there's also a lawnmower that pushes itself around as well.
Correct.
So
but
we're not totally
all
off,
in all, that's about 3 minutes of the movie total.
Yeah. The rest of the film has absolutely nothing to do with that. There are no satyrs in this.
No. Which I like that idea.
Or something.
I mean, it's definitely a horrifying horror image. The guy crawling on all fours, eating the grass nude. That's terrifying.
Well, Stephen King, when you sell your short stories rights out for $1 a piece, I mean...
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
This is the fire you're playing with. You're going to get... It is.
And,
The Lawnmower Man is not a good title, though. I want to be clear.
The Lawnmower Man?
No, I don't think it's a very good title.
It's better than Cyber God. I mean, Cyber God's more accurate, but the Lawnmower Man, at least there's a little mystery there.
There is some mystery there, and it's still fun.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I heard that title, I was thinking like Sling Blade. That's the image that was... Another fun fact about the Lawnmower Man, it was David Koresh's favorite film, which is always fun. David Koresh of Waco and the Branch Davidians.
Yeah, where did you dig that fact up?
Oh, it's out there. It's out there. He screened it regularly, along with Full Metal Jacket.
That tells you a lot. That tells you a lot up front, folks. But this film, as we kind of alluded to at the start of the podcast, touches on a digital realm of existence and the uploading of a consciousness to said realm, and basically achieving cyber god-like abilities. It was kind of ahead of its time. It beat The Matrix by 7 years. It
seems to be Mark Zuckerberg's primary influence for what he's trying to do here.
Speaking of influences, our main character, who's played by Jeff Fahey, who we'll get into in just a second, Job Smith. I am 99% sure that the Simple Jack character from Tropic Thunder was inspired, if not just outright based on this character. It is goddamn identical in terms of the costume setup. The only thing he's missing is a fucking mallet and a couple butterflies to chase around and swing at, and it's there. And to be clear, that Simple Jack, as well as this film, both involve somebody intellectually disabled, and perhaps not the most, perhaps not the best depiction or representation, whatever you want to call it. So Jeff Fahey, our golden-haired antagonist of the film. He's a little bit of both.
Every time I see this guy, I think of Trey Parker. I think it's the hair.
It is the hair, dude. It is the hair. So he's got some pretty wild blonde hair. But Jeff Fahey is a real actor. He spent some time on Broadway. He also was Frank in Lost. For anybody who's seen Lost, pretty far out show.
There you go.
And he was in several Robert Rodriguez flicks, Planet Terror and Machete.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool.
Nice. I love Robert Rodriguez. Faux show. And then the other co-star of this film is Pierce Brosnan. Pre-GoldenEye. Pre-James Bond.
Pre-James Bond.
And he's awesome in it.
Pre-GoldenEye. GoldenEye is so sweet. The rest of Brosnan, shaky. shaky Bond, in my opinion. But GoldenEye's sweet.
GoldenEye's sweet. So, shall we jump into the film?
Yeah. There's one other star's name I wanted to call out. Oh God, he's the brother-in-law on
Dean Norris.
Breaking Bad. Dean
Norris. He's Hank. He is Hank on Breaking Bad, my favorite character easily. And another example of Breaking Bad's not an example of this, but he's another example of a bald villain. All the villains in this film are bald, just like Andrew.
Physiognomy is a fucking thing, and they always depict bad people as bald. The only exceptions are Sir Patrick Stewart. I mean, he is the only exception.
And Hank in Breaking Bad is the good guy. But I guess that's bald against bald, so I don't know. That's a whole bald.
It negates. It's a neutral representation for bald people.
True. So I guess that's an improvement, slight improvement.
It is better than a negative representation, yes.
The movie starts off with the definition of virtual reality. That's how old this film is. They had to define it with the opening
scene. Many viewers would not have known otherwise.
Even the actors didn't know. They had to be described to them as well.
This is before, like, the internet was a common thing in the American household. This is pre-AOL free CDs at Blockbuster. Like, think about that.
I'll give the screenplay credit because, well, first off, it was written by Brett Leonard, and Gimel Everett. But they got a lot of things right. A lot of the technical jargon they use in this film actually kind of makes sense. For its time, surprisingly. They're not just throwing out words hoping no one understands. Like, it kind of makes sense a little bit.
They're not hackers just smacking on a keyboard with, like, weird characters that definitely aren't traditional, what's the fucking characters called? I don't know. Not Cyrillic, but whatever alphabet we use. It's not like a bad, like, Swordfish / The Matrix depiction of hacking.
There are some elements of that. We'll get into it later, but they do go into this weird gyroscope machine that, like, somehow teleports them into the fucking...
But they definitely have to be in the gyroscope spinning around.
So, definition of virtual reality. I think all of our listeners already know what that is. The opening scene kicks ass. It's from a chimpanzee's point of view, which this is the second film in a row which we had a scene from a chimpanzee's point of view, actually.
This is true. But
yeah, they're doing experiments on this chimpanzee. We get Dr. Larry Angelo, played by Pierce Brosnan. He's the scientist. And he's saying we can't give him any more aggression shots. I guess they've made this chimpanzee super smart and super aggressive. And they've strapped this VR helmet to him.
Yeah, it's for military applications. They're trying to make monkeys smart enough to go fight, which was something the Soviet Union kind of tried to do.
They did. They even had a whole program where they were trying to crossbreed them with humans to make a super soldier.
Yeah, monkeys.
Pretty fun.
Yep.
So yeah, this monkey's strapped into VR. We see things from his point of view. He fucking attacks the guard, steals his gun, starts shooting people left and right, and he escapes the lab.
So, I mean, it's kind of like, we saw this again with 12 Monkeys later on, but...
I want to do 12 Monkeys as
12
a
Monkeys would be sweet. We got to come back to that one.
There you go.
Although, our other...
Terry Gilliam?
Yeah, our other Terry Gilliam film is literally our least watched episode, I think.
But that's also like one of his... Can we agree that that's one of his actually worst ones?
I didn't hate it as much as I guess our audience did.
I think that's probably one of his worst films, in my opinion. And I mean, I'm saying that because
Adam
he has
Driver
a lot of good
was
ones.
Really good in it, and I didn't think it was terrible.
No, it was good. It's just... Moving on.
Moving on. Agree to disagree.
It was good. It was good. And there's an interesting backstory there as well. Check that episode out, Flickers. But yeah.
So anyways, old Pierce Brosnan, who I'm gonna give a little shout out to Pierce. One, he looks just so handsome in this movie. He's got the center part flow down perfect there. Like,
that was a popular hairstyle in the 90s, for sure. I had the middle part as well, and I think
he did it. He did it really well. I mean, gosh, he also is just a handsome man. But he pulls the earring off in this film, the little hoop earring, little pirate earring, pretty well. And I also want to just throw it out there that one of my favorite memes of all time is like the referencing of Pierce Brosnan as the architect, because he's like allegedly a feeder, like he likes making women plump.
What? What are you talking about?
That's a real thing.
You're gonna have to. All right, you have to elaborate on that.
So, his wife was like a model, and she definitely had put on some pounds.
Oh.
She's gotten a little bit larger as time's gone on. He's a feeder. He's a feeder.
He feeds them.
She had reportedly mentioned doing like liposuction in an interview at some point, and he threatened to divorce her over it.
Wow. Hey, man.
But who knows? How much of that is tabloid gossip or what? Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's why he's the architect, man.
I wish that's what I was into, because then the world would just be your oyster, man.
Dude.
You'd be slaying.
Well, I mean, not if your thing is you want to find a skinny chick to make fat.
Oh, that's...
the world is less your oyster there than if you're just trying to,
Skinny girls just secretly hope for, though, that they'll find.
Like, please let me find one who'll just feed me endlessly.
But yeah, so Dr. Angelo, played by Pierce Brosnan, he wakes up to a phone call. They're telling him that the monkey has escaped. He has a great line. He's like, but he's the best chimp I've ever had. But yeah, he runs off to the lab, and then he starts fucking going off on his Mark Zuckerberg meta bullshit, saying that VR holds the key to evolution of the human mind and all this nutty stuff.
He's probably right.
I mean, he absolutely is right. That's where all this is heading. Again, sign me up. Don't care. Put all of Wikipedia in my brain. That's fine.
Yep. It'd be like a real life mentat. So yeah, cue the introduction of Job, played by Jeff Fahey, the Simple Jack lookalike. But anyway, so Job is a touch on the slower side of things.
And he's a landscaper who basically lives inside of a tool shed.
He lives in a tool shed. He wears a really poorly fit set of overalls. And all this dude does, all he likes to do, is mow lawns and also get abused physically and probably sexually by Catholic priests.
Hey, man. Fun times.
We'll get to that in a minute.
He also fixes up his lawnmower, Big Red. Don't forget about Big Red.
He has a pimped out lawnmower called Big Red.
Yeah, it just kind of introduces him real brief, and then it goes back to Dr. Angelo. But Dr. Angelo, he's got his home VR headset in which he is falling, floating, and flying. And of course,
3 of the programs he has made.
What happens when you play video games? Your girlfriend gets mad. And that's what his girlfriend does. And she says, "What's next, fucking?"
It would be the 4th F. She would be spot on.
And
that's the point of all this, always. Anyways.
Of course. And a little foreshadowing later, we get the first CGI sex in this film, which now pollutes our interwebs with weird homemade CGI porn.
It's cyber sex in like the very like actual cyber realm sex. It's not like you sending bad, poorly written sex to somebody via AIM or whatever.
No, it's metaverse sex.
This is like full on fucking inside the computer.
It's what you see those. I mean, I don't know if you see them, but I've definitely seen those ads. It's like the best sex game you've ever played. You won't last 5 minutes.
You won't last 5 minutes. They all say that. That's the real hook that gets people to click on it. They're like, well, God damn it, I normally last 20, but 5 whole minutes? That's it?
But I have nothing to do today. This is my whole afternoon.
Yeah. Well, it's going to free up a lot of time in a lot of people's schedules. So it's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
But yeah.
But he's got this like crazy and I wish VR like this was more readily available without being absurdly expensive. And this was like just out of the realm of even feasibly being a reality in 1992. But he's got this like bed that he lays on with all these fucking actuators that, you know, jack him around and make him feel like he's really flying with his headset on. And like we do kind of have that now, but like it's also, you know, 30 years later. So we should have had it sooner.
Sure.
I really thought VR was going to be much more a part of my childhood when I was like 7 years old.
Remember Virtual Boy? That was a piece of garbage.
It was a piece of garbage.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. So anyways, he's got the setup. He's got a sweet bachelor pad, but his girlfriend's mad at him because he stays jacked in all the time.
All he does is smoke and just play his fucking video games, which is kind of a weird dichotomy for a guy who's like a super smart scientist, but I guess it happens.
This was also when you could smoke cigarettes in movies, you know, early 90s. I think Joe Camel had just recently been pushed out at that point. So he was no longer in vogue. So we see Pierce Brosnan, who again such a handsome goddamn man.
You're fixating on that a little bit.
I know, but he chain smoked cigarettes the whole movie.
Is that a turnoff for you? That's a list of Andrew's turn-offs. Turn-ons, hoop earring.
It's
turn-offs,
hoop earring,
smoking cigarettes.
Chain smoking cigarettes, turn off.
So, yeah, we get, so going back to Job, the simpleton, is that still okay to say?
Probably not, but let's roll with it.
I think that sounds right. He's a simpleton. And of course, as a simpleton, his only friend is a little kid.
Little boy named Peter.
Little boy named Peter. And he hangs out with Peter. They read comic books. But they work for this, like, Scottish or Irish, like, groundskeeper,
Drunk.
basically. He's basically Willie the groundskeeper from The Simpsons.
We do. We're introduced to this character with him taking a swig from a flask in the middle of the day prior to going to mow lawns. You know, I do outdoor work, and I think as the older I get, the more prone I will be to just taking sips from a flask.
Giving no fucks.
As I go about my yard work.
But here's my favorite line. He tells Job and Peter, if you listen real hard, you can hear the panpipes of the little people in the grass there. Which is kind of fun.
That's a good line.
That's a good
I think
line.
mine's better.
Yours is better?
Mine's better.
I just like the concept of little people playing panpipes in the grass.
Same character, but I think it's better. He's the comedic relief in the film.
Yep, and he's Job's boss. But Job also works for the nearby church. And the creepy priest whips him with his belt as punishment every night for neglecting his duties.
It's some real, like, sadomasochistic shit. You know, like your worst nightmare is an altar boy, other than getting outright raped. But I think it's implied that he's raped. He's been raped. It's been a bad time.
It's not good.
He is definitely on screen being fucking flagellated with a belt. So
yes. Well, going back to Dr. Larry Angelo, he's playing video games. He's smoking. His chimp has just escaped. So he's in a dark time. And what does his girlfriend do? She leaves him. Right at his darkest hour, which is what always fucking happens.
That's always what happens.
But yeah, his experiment's totally ruined right when he was about to move the trials onto human subjects. And then fucking who does he see? Job coming along. And he's like, you know what? That guy's perfect.
That guy is marginally smarter than a monkey.
And he invites him over to his house, and he kind of, I will say, he does ask permission. which, I mean, I guess to a certain... It's debatable how ethical that is. It's debatable whether Job is in a mind state of being able to give permission.
I mean, like, strictly speaking from a legal perspective, presumably Joe is incapable of giving consent in this regard.
Right. But yeah, he invites Job and Peter over and lets them play his VR video game, which looks almost exactly like Star Fox.
It does look a lot like Star Fox.
And actually, I got a quote here from Jeff Fahey. They were talking to the director, and he said, so what are we looking at through these VR goggles? And they were having a tough time even describing what VR would look like or imagining what it would look like. And he was just saying, you know, you're seeing something now. You're hit by something now. So, yeah, I mean, that's how new this concept was.
This would blow people's minds on a simple viewing.
But yeah, he offers to make Job smarter with these experiments, but he tells him we
have a flowers for Algernon element going on here.
Exactly. He tells him he can never tell anyone, though, which I guess right out of the gate, that makes it pretty unethical. He knows he's doing something
He's already
wrong.
hiding what he's doing.
Human experiments on intellectually disabled people. It sounds really bad when you just say it like that.
It does. It sounds really, really bad. This guy would be tried for crimes.
But yeah, I mean, that's some Joseph Mengele shit. But yeah, he hooks him up to the VR machine, shows him all these trippy... It almost looks like the visualizations that, like, Windows Media Player and those terrible softwares used to show you while music was playing.
Yeah, it had a bunch of, like, weird fucking, like, demon symbols, too. Like, a bunch of gematria, fucking, like, weird, you know, ancient rune, like... I mean, they're not runes, not, like, in the Nordic sense, but, just, like, crazy fucking... I mean, it's like that Tool album, I think, which is titled Gematria or whatever.
Gotcha.
Anyways, he gets his brain, you know, flashed by the VR set and some drugs, some sweet, sweet brain drugs.
Fuck yeah.
Just like so perfect because this was the decade that Adderall became mainstream for children.
That's true. I was definitely on Ritalin in the 90s.
I was on Adderall and Ritalin in the 90s. I mean, Adderall might have been early 2000s, but...
Yep.
Yay.
So that's what happened to us, if you're wondering.
That's why...
So he keeps kind of... And I guess this Star Fox video game is like an early metric of how intelligent he is. And he keeps inviting him over, and he slowly gets better at Star Fox. And after a month, his intellectual capacity is quadrupled. But he still is kind of slow. So I guess that tells you what his starting point was.
Pretty low.
But we get a scene coming up where the priest comes, and he's about to whip Job again, and Job defends himself and says that he's going to buy cowboy boots and turn the place into a ranch.
Yep.
Which is kind of fun.
It is fun. He also, he has his overalls down at this point, so it kind of looks like a karate gi, but it's not. It's just overalls, not buttoned up. But Jeff Fahey's looking shredded in this scene. So anyways, he grabs the priest's whipping hand and prevents the flagellation that was certain to come to him. And had come many times before. Yeah.
From that sweet, sweet flagellation. Too much?
Some people like it.
But yeah, but at this point, Dr. Angelo is like, yo, Job, I got to bring you into the lab so we can do further experiments because we've reached the limits of what I could do at home. We're going to really mess with your brain. But yeah, at a certain point, he's getting smarter now. Then we're introduced to this hot chick named Marnie, played by Jenny Wright.
Yeah, she's a gold digger. She married some rich old dude and he died, and she inherited all his wealth. And she has this big, very beautiful property that Job mows. And we're first introduced to her kind of checking him out from a distance on her ivory balcony. And this is like when Job still looks very much like Simple Jack. He's eating He's eating a sandwich under the tree. You can't judge me for this. I didn't create either of these fucking characters.
You picked the movie. You knew it was offensive.
I picked the movie, and I did it full well, knowing I was going to draw that comparison. But I didn't draw up either of those characters, all right? I'm allowed to reference them all I goddamn want.
True. But yeah, she invites him up, and what does she do? They bang.
Well, not yet. He gets like a little bit smarter first.
Oh yeah, and there's also a scene where she's getting her oil changed, and like he tries to like defend. Oh, she's flirting with him, and the bully doesn't like that, so he punches him out.
The gas station bully. But so when Job starts getting smarter, he starts dressing a little better. He wears he's got some jeans on and a snap button, light blue collared long sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up. And Marnie's like checking him out at the gas station, and that's kind of when she decides that
she's gonna take advantage of this boy.
Although at this point she's not really taking advantage. She's probably capable of consent intellectually.
True, and that's all he wants. Now he's smart enough to know that that's what he desperately wants.
So they hook up, and yeah, exactly. Now that evil's in his life. He hooks up. Or they hook up. She is very attractive. Not that Jeff Fahey isn't, but she was super, super hot. And as like their little relationship develops, he decides that he wants to take her to like engage in cyber sex in the lab.
Yes, and this is where we get the first.
Actually, hold on. The quote that I liked was the groundskeeper Willie guy at the gas station. He was like, "She's got the hots for Job," and some dude called her. I think he called her a whore or whatever. And the gas station boy's like, "Don't you call her a whore, old man." He's like, "Well, now that I think about it, she's got the money, and she still does it because she likes it."
Yeah. She's not a whore. She does it for free.
She does it for free. Yeah, thank you. You got it better. I butchered that. But the fact that would never fly anymore. So
that's true. That's insulting.
That was that guy's main joke. That was his big delivery for the film.
But yeah, Job takes this chick back to the lab. They both hook up into their gyroscope machines, which like spins them around. It looks like a carnival ride, basically. I think that's all it really is.
It's like those astronaut gyroscope wheels that they would have sometimes.
Anyway, they go into the machine, which somehow, like by spinning on this thing, it sends them into the VR world, the meta, and they fuck in the meta, which this is the first CGI sex scene ever.
At the same damn time. God, groundbreakers.
Man. And then they're kind of like these weird liquid metal people. And then I will say it was a tasteful sex scene because they end up using like symbolism essentially where they meld together and form a dragonfly.
It's so nice and pretty at first.
If only they knew what these perverts on the internet were going to be using it for with their My Little Pony and all that bullshit.
Or what horrors await in mere seconds. But yes, that too.
Yes.
That as well.
I guess it does foreshadow that a little bit when he turns into like a giant gaping orifice monster that consumes her.
Consumes her and like basically lobotomizes her brain in the fucking cyberverse. It's like when she comes out, she's cooked, man. Like he has psychic powers at this point because of his intelligence just keeps advancing, and he can like hear what people are thinking. And like after she's been mind fucked by this dude, mind assaulted by this guy in the cyberspace, like all she's thinking is just like this kind of like crazy laughter, like
which now that's already becoming a thing where people are getting sexually assaulted in the metaverse. Have you heard about this? There's a woman who claims that she was her avatar was brutally gang raped in the virtual world.
And how did that feel for her?
Apparently terrible. She's spoken out about it, and I guess it was triggering.
But like, I mean, it's just like in a headset, right?
I mean, I think she had the headset, but I mean, she can hear their voices, and they were like, "Don't lie, you liked it," and all this stuff. I read the editorial.
Why wouldn't you just take it off?
You're making way too much sense right now. Dial it back
Why
a
wouldn't you
little.
just
Dial it back a
turn it
little,
off
Andrew.
the moment it started?
Dial
just
it
power
back
down.
a little. I think she was probably trying to make a point, but
I guess it's a goddamn it's a fucking video game.
She got gang raped. Okay, it's not funny.
I think to call it gang rape is trivializing people who have actually been gang raped experience.
That's a valid point. It
is a valid point.
That's a valid point. But yeah.
It's a goddamn video game.
I mean, once we're locked in like the Matrix, then we can call it rape. Right now, I would just call it an unpleasant virtual experience.
It sounds like a bad run-in with trolls. And again, just turn it off.
Sounds just like a terrible Minecraft level.
You should probably just get your ass outside and breathe some fresh air.
Yeah.
Instead of being in the goddamn metaverse.
Anyway.
The metaverse is bad. That is the main point of this movie, just so we're clear.
It's all about the metaverse. And it's crazy how seemingly accurate it is in its portrayal. I mean, it doesn't quite get the social aspects of it necessarily because it's still an experimental technology in the film, which it seems like more than anything it is all going to be all about the social aspects. We're all just going to be playing World of Warcraft till the end of time. But yeah, now we're introduced to these bald villains.
We have two.
After we pointed out that all the villains are bald, you just can't escape it. They're everywhere.
Everywhere, dude.
Everywhere. I think your people are being misrepresented.
I know that we are.
So, all this shit's happening. We got our bald villains. Here's another Stephen King reference, a vague Stephen King reference. They work for this shadowy government entity called the Shop. And basically, Hank from Breaking Bad, Dean Norris, he plays the director. But they want to continue their experiments of creating a super soldier. So, of course, Dr. Angelo doesn't want this. So they go behind his back and reprogram the whole system so that next time Job goes in, it's going to really fuck with his brain and make him a killing machine. And also, it inadvertently ends up giving him kind of psychic powers, telekinetic powers. He starts being able to read people's mind and move stuff with his mind. Which, they kind of just glaze right over that part, but I guess it plays in at the end of the film. But yeah, he kind of goes insane once once they reprogram it and he goes back into the virtual world, he goes totally insane. Right?
Yeah. We have some pretty sweet CGI scenes here that kind of show him kind of getting sucked into this black hole kind of rendering, which is cool. I like that. That's some Eldritch horror fucking, Warhammer 40K getting influenced by the Chaos Gods, but mixed into the digital realm. I think that's sweet.
I will say, Dr. Angelo, he has to pitch his technology to his corporate overlords. And he pitches it exactly the same way Elon Musk pitches Neuralink. By saying it's going to have applications for mental disabilities, Alzheimer's, all this these key buzzwords that, yeah, all of that sounds great. What about the virtual gang rape and all that? That's the part they don't tell you about.
Virtual gang rape.
That's what they don't tell you about. But yeah, so Job keeps kind of sneaking into the lab, injecting himself with stuff. And now he starts hearing the voices of everyone who's ever bullied him and decides he's going to go insane and kill them all. So now we're getting to the good part.
Yeah, the good stuff.
And the first person he kills is the priest who's been abusing him.
Yeah, he uses some fucking fire starter psychic power shit to catch him on fire in this very, very religious Catholic sequence where they've got the cathedral music, and,
Gotta. And he says, Judgment Day is here.
But he lights his fucking ass on fire with his brain.
Yeah, he bursts into flames, which is pretty fucking metal if you ask me.
CGI flames. at that.
Yeah, they look terrible, to be
They
clear.
don't look very good. They don't look very good.
Next, he kills the gas station bully.
This is my favorite death. Other than the lobotomizing of his lover, which I think is just such a gratuitous, weird thing to include.
Yes.
So, so this time he just uses his psychic powers to enter the bully's brain and transposes a CGI rendered head of his with a mouth that's a rotary lawnmower blade, and it just starts like mowing over the top of this dude's brain, CGI rendered brain, and just turns him into a vegetable also. He has the line, it's like, now the lawnmower man's with you, or whatever.
Dude, that one's so badass. He mows this guy's mind.
Yeah, first he wraps him up with the gas station hoses to like hold him down with his mind, and then he puts a fucking lawnmower inside his brain and, turns him into putty. And
Awesome.
it like the scene ends with the sound of lawnmowers, so it's like that's that dude's fate. It's just hearing goddamn lawnmowers for forever.
It's pretty badass.
It's pretty good. And then he kills Peter's drunk father, his little child friend, by and the sequel, Lawnmower Man 2, is all about their rekindled friendship 16 years into the future.
Interesting. Okay.
Peter is now 16. So however old Peter is in this, we'll say he's
like 10.
8. All right. 6 years in the future.
That's pretty fun.
Is setting for. We'll get to it at the end of this.
But yeah,
talk about how fucking bad that movie is.
Peter's dad has been abusing him, and so of course he's got to kill Peter's dad. He sends a lawnmower. It busts through the front door. This is also
not just any lawnmower. He sends Big Red.
Big Red. This is also directly from the Stephen King short story, this scene. But yeah, it chases them all around the living room and mows them down.
Yeah. And when the cops are like picking up the pieces the next day, like they're wheeling, the dead body out, and coroner's like, "Where's the rest of them?" And the police officer's like, "In the bird bath." It's another favorite little line.
That's actually also directly from the Stephen King story. That one line.
Of course.
But yeah, as they're describing the murders, Job does like a Jedi mind trick on them, and they say, "Well, accidents happen," and then they just go on about their day. Kind of like if, your bike got stolen. They're not going to do anything.
No, nothing at all.
But at this point, Job really starts going insane, starts talking about how the planet is sick and that virtual reality is going to be the next stage of evolution. Sounds frightening.
So standard like AI singularity talk. Gotta wipe out humanity.
Yep, and it's
the only way.
Here that original screenplay title Cyber God comes in because he says he wants to be Cyber Christ.
He does. There's a lot of religious imagery in this film. A lot of Jesus stuff.
Oh yeah, he crucifies. Well, we'll get there.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
But yeah, so the director, Hank, sends some goons to Dr. Angelo's house. They start shooting at a large hologram projection of Job's head, and then he just disassembles them psychically and like turns them into like a series of little orbs. It's hard to describe, but it's cool looking.
It is cool looking.
At some point, Dr. Angelo, he's trying to save the day. He gathers up a bunch of explosives, and he knows some shit's going down. This is it. Fucking.
Oh yeah, Job's back at the compound, like with the gyroscope machines too. Like he's about to plug in and become the cyber god, the cyber Christ.
Yep. And so Dr. Angelo's trying to save the day. He runs back to the lab. A bunch of other shit happens. A guard actually shoots Job's boss, groundskeeper Willie, and then Job forces him to turn the gun on himself. He attacks some people with these CGI bees. Bunch of just cool shit happens. But yeah, his plan is to use the World Wide Web. He's going to integrate with the World Wide Web and be omnipresent and just take over the world from the mainframe.
Which is like, that's more or less fucking Skynet shit.
Pretty much. I mean, it's some early AOL, like, scare tactics.
I guess just reference one more like AI god, digital intellect thing. The Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect, which is for free through Google. You can find it very easily.
You've recommended that to me multiple times, and I need to check it out.
Yeah, you're still a bum.
Yep.
You're a bum.
Get it on audiobook, and maybe I'll listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dr. Angelo finds Job on the gyroscope, but he has left his physical body and become...
Yeah, he gets like drained like a Capri Sun pouch.
Yep, and he's just like a weird, emaciated sack of skin.
Husk.
And he goes into the video game, which kind of, at this point, he kind of looks like one of those Titans from Attack on Titan if it was like a Nintendo 64 game or something. But yeah, he keeps, inside the VR, Job keeps trying to access these different websites, but keeps getting access denied.
No, he can't break out of the facilities network into the World Wide Web.
And I think it's because Dr. Angelo is like turned off the modem, the dial-up modem.
He also set some explosives up as a failsafe.
Yep. But then, of course, he has to go into the virtual world, and they fight each other.
And Job easily overpowers Dr. Angelo.
He crucifies him, which is pretty fucking wild. So they're having it out. It's this epic fucking CGI battle that just looks incredibly dated, but at the time it was like a main selling point of the movie. People flock to movie theaters to see this shit.
Yep.
Even though it's ridiculous looking.
Yeah, it doesn't look that good.
But it's cool, and it honestly,
I mean, it does and it doesn't.
It did not detract from the experience of this film. I enjoyed the fuck out of this. But yeah, so but Job finds out, he hears Peter's in the lab. And he knows that the lab's going to blow up. So this is when his conscience kicks in. And he decides to free Dr. Angelo so that he can escape with Peter.
So his last little drop of humanity coming through.
Yep. And then right before the lab explodes, Job is able to find a quote-unquote back door and escapes into the internet.
Yeah, and he's like running twist knobs in his little digital world to fucking try and find an escape. And finally gets access granted. And he shoots his digital load into the tube and he gets sucked in.
Digital load.
And he makes it out.
So everything's good. The day is saved. The lab is blown up. But Job has escaped. But so did Dr. Angelo and Peter. And then in the last creepy little scene we get, very much a dial-up AOL throwback. All the phones start ringing, which is how you know he's out there in the World Wide Web, just waiting. He's
born. He made it. Waiting. He's a cyber god now.
Waiting for Lawnmower Man Part 2.
So Lawnmower Man Part 2, I'm going to jump right into this.
Hit it.
It is so fucking bad. I watched it last night. It came out in 1996. It features neither Pierce Brosnan nor Jeff Fahey, so... Job is cast as a new person altogether. He's this bald man. He's a bald man now as Job.
Okay, so but is he evil? He is evil.
No, not really. That's the other thing, is he seems to be pretty nice, and there's just other... I fell asleep because it was pretty fucking bad.
How progressive to have a good bald man in a film.
I know. I'll applaud them on that. I will. But, like, it's, Peter's 16, so it's, like, 6 years in the future, and, like, the entire world has fallen.
Sounds very Terminator 2.
Dude, it's like the fucking streets look like something from Total Recall or whatever. It's like how... the jump from the world of 1992 Lawnmower Man to 6 years later, Lawnmower 2.
Is it post-apocalyptic Lawnmower Man 2, or what?
It is edging on that. It is. And everybody, I mean, there is like a cyber reality that everybody plugs into, and that's kind of cool.
That's the dangers of the internet.
The rest of the movie doesn't make sense. Yeah, all the kids in reality look dirty and gross, but they like plug in and they look cool. So kind of like, some pre-Matrix vibes, but it's bad. It's like really bad. It was a box office failure, and critics hate it too. Almost across, and even just fans of the first one hate it. It's a dog shit movie.
But watched it. Did you have fun? Does it have any redeeming value?
I would say I would not recommend it unless you. No, it doesn't.
It has 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. I did see
Dude,
that.
if you wanna get like a little tongue taste of like fucking C movie 90s filmography, then go ahead and check out Lawnmower Man 2.
Yeah, it sounds like it almost went like direct to video.
It like had some special effects budgets, but like goddamn it, like every episode of Goosebumps that I remember from the 90s was
better looking than that.
Yeah, and like it's not like Goosebumps is like that great.
No,
right?
Goosebumps was pretty. Looking back, it was pretty low budget as well.
It was. I love Goosebumps, but like I would say every Goosebumps episode was better done than Lawnmower Man 2.
Well, that's a very.
You heard it here first.
What a good endorsement. That's Andrew's endorsement of Lawnmower Man 2. Check it out.
Don't watch it.
Check it out, folks.
Watch something else. Oh, that's it.
That's Stephen King's Lawnmower Man.
Just such typical fashion, like that he just absolutely, he A, hates it, and B, it turns out terrible.
Well, this is not the same as The Shining, which he also hated, which was an amazing film.
He hates everything he doesn't have control over, or at least he used to. But the thing is, he can't make a fucking movie to save his life.
Right. I mean, they did kind of just slap his name on this other script called Cyber God.
Sure.
That is
have you
fair.
seen fucking
I get the
Maximum
criticism.
Overdrive, dude? Maximum Overdrive.
Yes, I have seen it, and it also features an automatic lawnmower moving by itself that kills people and cars.
It does. I guess Stephen borrowed from that one. And I love Stephen King. I fucking love Stephen King. But he does hate all of the movies.
Well, Maximum Overdrive is terrible as well.
He made that one, was my point.
That's your point. Oh, yeah. That's like the worst one.
That is the worst one, and he made it. So it's like, maybe you just let the director have fun with it, man. You're the one who sold your rights.
You ever see
me.
Cat's Eye? There's a bunch of terrible ones. There are a bunch of terrible ones. There have been like 50 adaptations of Stephen King works, or maybe probably more than 50. And I would say more than half of them are bad.
Almost definitely, but there are some very good ones. Actually, I mean, overall, I just love Stephen King. He's one of my favorite authors. I'm trying to think. I also really don't care for The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken.
I love Christopher Walken, but I have not seen
that. I do too. And the movie has its high points. It's not like all bad, but it just like, it kind of plays like a Stephen King book. It's like really drawn out. There's like,
fair.
Probably a lot of like story that could have been cut that didn't.
Christopher Walken is going to be the Emperor in the Dune Part 2.
Really? Fuck, yes, that's so cool, dude.
That is cool. Did you ever see the HBO adaptation of a Stephen King story called The Outsider?
Yes, I did. It was quite good.
I enjoyed that. Recommend it. Recommended, folks. Well, that's The Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, I was also going to give a shout out to Creepshow.
Give a shout out.
It's a fun Stephen King anthology.
I think that the Creepshow book featured The Lawnmower Man short story, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, so that's The Lawnmower Man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all the support, as always.
Yeah. We're starting to see some activity on the socials, some downloads. We love it, and we want to say thank you.
Thank you.
As always, like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a review, send us an email. Sacrifice your fucking garden gnome to us.
There you go.
Do something.
We're on Instagram and Facebook. You can send us an email, faroutflixpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what... We're looking for feedback, people. Tell us what you want. We're taking recommendations.
I want my feedback.
Chilies. We're cutting that out, folks. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for listening, Flickers. And I'm moving next week, so we'll see. We might have something special for you, or we might just make you wait a week. We're going to find out.
Either way, we here in the Far Out Flick family, the FFFF, are so excited that Braden's moving. So send your warmest thoughts and just hope deep down, will it into existence that his moving process is not god awful, because moving sucks.
It does suck.
Fuck yeah, it does.
Alrighty, Flickers. See you next time.